This is Dr. V. Anitha Rani, Associate Professor of Chemistry from Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. And in the previous class, we have discussed about water resources. So in water resources, we have discussed about overutilization of water, and also we have discussed about floods, droughts, and benefits of dams and problems of dams. And today we are going to discuss about land resources, introduction to land resources, causes of soil erosion, land degradation. So land resources, we know that here land is the major part of the lithosphere. Land plays a major role for the growth of the crops, vegetation, forest. Soils are formed due to the disintegration of rocks by various physical processes like changes in temperature, pressure, blowing wind, and flow of water. So how the soils are formed means due to the disintegration of the rocks by various physical processes like changes in temperature, changes in pressure, blowing wind, and flow of the water. The top layer of soil consists of mixture of the humus, that is dead leaves and plants, some of the living organisms and inorganic components which supply nutrients to the soil. So the top of the layer contains nutrients and some of the living organisms. So the soil fertility depends on inorganic matter, organic matter, water, air, and variety of microorganisms. So soil fertility means that depends on nutrients and water, air, and variety of the microorganisms. For example, bacteria, fungi. Okay. So which help in decomposition of organic matter and regeneration of the nutrients. So what bacteria will do, it will decompose the organic matter and it will regenerate the nutrients in the soil. So we can see in this diagram the cultivation of the crops, and the top layer of the soil is containing the nutrients and some of the microorganisms. And land represents an important resource for the economic life of a majority of the people in the world. So the way people handle and use land resource is decisive for their social and economic well-being as well as for the sustained quality of land resource. So the people, how they are handling the land resources, so depending on that, okay, so there is the land fertility, like soil fertility will be there. So the land use, however, is not only an area for those directly using it, and it is exposed to a part of the wider reality of social and economic development and change. So land use, therefore, is a highly dynamic process. So land is a physical entity which includes a natural resource like a forest, water, minerals, food, energy, etc. So what is there in land? Forest is there, water is there, minerals are there, okay, food in the land, okay, so energy in the land. So all these are there in the land. The land is the biggest resources for biotic community to reproduce, live, sustain, grow, exploit, and many life supporting activities. So land resources are mainly, it is for the biotic community, means that is the land resources are mainly utilized by biotic community, means that is utilized by the plants, that is utilized by the animals and human beings. So the land is used for building homes and cultivating food, maintain pastures for domestic animals and industrial use. It is equally important to protect forest, grasslands, wetlands, mountains, and coastal areas. So in order to present biodiversity, okay. So if there is no forest, okay, means we are cutting the trees now, okay. So desertification, okay. So grasslands, wetlands, okay. If it is decreasing that grassland, wetlands, mountains, okay. So what happens? It leads to the effect of biodiversity. So soils are formed due to the disintegration of rocks by various physical process. Already we discussed this. Changes in temperature, pressure, and blowing wind and flow of water. The soil here it is formed. So the top layer of the soil, what it is having means nutrients and microorganisms. So we can see in this diagram, we can see for what purpose we are using land resources. For the cultivation of the for cultivation of the crops, and for construction of the buildings, and we are maintaining the pastures for domestic animals. And soil composition, soil fertility, it depends for major components of soil are mineral materials and organic matter, water and air. So mineral materials are elements like a silicon, iron, here magnesium, aluminium, calcium, sodium, potassium. All these are mineral materials. Mineral materials, these are the elements so that will be present in the soil. Okay, and quartz, what is quartz? Silica oxide, iron silicates and aluminium silicates. All these are in the land. Okay, organic matter. So that here we can get the residue from the plants and animals. Residue from the plants and animals, that is organic matter. So organic matter can be crop residue, grasses, bacteria, fungi, and other microorganisms and animal waste. So what we are getting, the animal waste or plant waste, so that is here decomposed by bacteria in the soil, and that will be converting into nutrients. So water, it is a good solvent for many nutrients which move into the plant roots. So when water is there in the soil, okay, when the water is there in the soil, so that will help many nutrients that is moving from the soil to the plant roots. And air, so air encourages optimum rate of the essential metabolic process for various organisms. Okay, so for the growth of the plant, so it needs air, water, means and organic matter and mineral materials. So land degradation, so any change in the land that reduces its quality and productivity, so it is known as land degradation. If the soil fertility is decreasing, it is called land degradation. So what it leads to when land degradation is there, okay, when we are not utilizing the land resources properly, it leads to the soil erosion. Soil erosion. So the top layer of the earth is called what we tell is the top layer of the earth, it is called soil. Okay, if you are not utilizing that properly the soil, okay, it leads to the soil erosion. So soil erosion occurs due to the deforestation, overgrazing, industrialization, desertification. Okay, so soil erosion occurs due to deforestation, overgrazing of animals and industrialization. Okay, so many industries, okay, that will be developing in in the areas. Okay, they will take a large area and they will cut the plant, they will build the industries. Okay, in that time also where we can see that there will be leading to the soil erosion. So soil is not immune to erosion, and like rocks along a coastal line, so soil can erode due to the effects of forces such as water, wind and farming practices. Because of the wind also, because of the water also, so there will be here sometimes it leads to the soil erosion. So soil is naturally created when small pieces of weathered rocks and minerals mix with organic materials from decaying plants and animals. So soil creation is a slow process and taking many years, and however the soil that is created is constantly that is subjected to natural and man-made forces. Okay, so the soil is taking many years to form, but we are not utilizing properly. Okay, it leads to the soil erosion. So soil erosion, it is defined as the wearing away of topsoil. Wearing away of topsoil. Removal of the upper layer of the soil is called soil erosion. So topsoil is the top layer of the soil and is the most fertile because it contains mostly organic nutrients, rich materials, minerals. Okay, so therefore this is the layer that farmers want to protect for growing their crops. Okay, and here they want to grow the crops, they want to grow the grasses for the cattle that to graze on. So one of the main causes of soil erosion is water erosion, so which is the loss of topsoil due to water. Raindrops fall directly on topsoil. So when the heavy rainfall is there, so top of that layer is removed. So the impact of the raindrops the material what the top of the layer it will be losing. We are losing the top of the layer of the soil. So here we can see if the rainfall continues, heavy rainfall, water gathers on the ground, causes water flow on the land surface, known as surface water runoff. So this runoff carries the soil materials away and deposits them somewhere, some other area. Okay, so from one area to the another area, it is carrying the top layer of the soil. But that area, it is leading to the soil erosion because of the heavy rainfall. So there are some other conditions that can we can see surface water runoff and here already we know soil erosion. So if the land is sloped, some other area where the land is sloped, there is a greater potential for soil erosion due to the simple fact that gravity pulls the water and the soil materials down the slope. Here also the water will have an easier time running across the surface, carrying topsoil with it. So we can understand here the soil erosion that will takes place by the heavy rainfall, So there are some types of soil erosion are there, different types of soil erosion. So the first one is the sheet erosion. So in the diagram we can see the sheet erosion. So sheet erosion, it is an erosion that occurs here fairly here over the area. So when the raindrops, when the rainfall is there, so due to that rainfall, the top layer of the soil it is removing. So the surface water it runs off, can transport the topsoil in a uniform fashion. Okay, almost like a bed sheet sliding off of a bed. Okay, so we can see in the diagram completely removal of the top of the layer is taking place, and here we can see sheet erosion. It is looking like a sheet. And almost all the nutrients, all the organic matter, all the microorganisms which live in the top layer. So now the top layer is removed. So this land is not suitable for the farmers for the cultivation of the crops. So this is called a sheet erosion. By the rainfall, so this occurs, that is a sheet erosion. Sheet erosion is nothing but so completely the top layer is removed from the soil. So slip erosion, this occurs due to heavy rainfall on the slopes of the hills and mountains. So where the slip erosion is taking place means in the mountains, in the hills, when the heavy rainfall is there, so that time it leads to the slip erosion. So in that mountains, in that hills part, so in that part, when we take Ooty, that areas, so people will cultivate the crops in the mountains only, on the mountains only. Okay, so that when the top layer of the soil is removed due to heavy rainfall, it leads to the slip erosion. So in mountains and hills. So we can see in this diagram slip erosion. So first one is sheet erosion, second one slip erosion, third one rill erosion. So rill erosion in an erosion, it is erosion like small, short-lived and well-defined streams. So when rainfall does not soak into the soil, when rainfall comes, if it does not soak into the soil, it can gather on the surface. It can gather on the surface and run downhill, forming small channels of water called rills. Means on the surface of the water only. So when the water is not seeping into the ground, so that water stays only in small digged part like areas. Okay, so that are called rills. So we can here we can see in this diagram the formation of rills in the soil. So here we can use this fact as a memory. Okay, and we can see how this rill is forming. A rill will dry up after the rainfall. So after the rainfall, what happens? The drilled part, so that will dry up. And it leads to the what happens in that rill part portion. So where we can see there won't be any fertility of the top layer of the soil will be removed in that rill part, So the land we can see here in rill erosion, we can see the soil. So there is not a uniform layer of the soil. We can see like a small, like not cracks also. It is forming like a rills. It is forming like a rills means some uneven surface of the soil. Uneven surface of the soil is formed. So that is called rill erosion. Gully erosion. Gully erosion means we know what is gully erosion means, like it is forming like a U shape or V shape, like a gully. Okay, so it we can see in the diagram also how it is formed like a V shape, U shaped. So gully erosion can be thought as advanced rill erosion. So first rill erosion will be formed. After that, it leads to the gully erosion. It leads to the gully erosion, forming like a V-shaped gully and U-shaped gully. So if rills are not addressed, they will grow into larger gullies. So gully erosion can spell big problems for farmers because the affected land is not able to be used for growing crops. Okay, and the big we can see here it will be disadvantage for the farmers because they cannot cultivate the crops in that area. So we can see that in the diagram. So in this land, formation of the gullies. Okay, gully erosion is taken place here in this land. Gully erosion. So in these two pictures also we can understand how this gully erosion is taken place in the soil. And next one, bank erosion. So where the bank erosion will be there means near the river, near the lakes, near the ponds. So that area, in that where the field are there, for the cultivation of the crops, where the farmers will use the field. So that area, it becomes here it is called bank erosion. So bank erosion is another type of water erosion here, and it is defined as a erosion of bank of stream or water away. So because of this water overflow of the river, overflow of the lake, so what happens when the overflow of river is taken place due to the heavy rainfalls, okay, when we get the floods and all, so the top layer of the soil is removed in that cultivation land, and it leads to the erosion. So we can see in this diagram how this top layer of the soil is removed. Okay. And now, causes of soil erosion. So what are the causes of soil erosion? We have seen now different types of soil erosion. What are the different types of soil erosion means? Sheet erosion, slip erosion, rill erosion, gully erosion, bank erosion. So what are the causes are there? Okay, causes for the soil erosion. So deforestation. Okay, so mining, industrial, urban development. Okay, when we are doing mining process and industrial development, urban development, that causes deforestation and leads to the exposure of the land to wind and rains, causing soil erosion. Okay, what are the causes for soil erosion means? The first point is deforestation. Okay, so when we are going for cutting the trees, because we are going to use for mining process, industrial process, urban development. So because of the cutting trees, it leads to deforestation, which in turn loss of organic matter in the soil. So overgrazing. So when sufficient amount of grass is available for the organism, usually, so the entire land or area may be subjected to exhaust, and the land is exposed without grass, and ultimately that land exposure to the wind or rain, it causes soil erosion. So when the land is occupied with a full of grass, okay, the top of the layer, it cannot be removed. It does not go. So when overgrazing is when animals are eating that grass completely, so that area, that land becomes completely dry. Okay, completely dry without any grass. So when heavy wind is there, heavy rain is there in that area also, so there will be removal of the top layer of the soil is taking place. And also we discussed that by industrialization also, when we go for mining and developing industries, so that leads to degradation of land, and this is some points causes for the soil corrosion. So we can see in this diagram, that is cutting of the trees, nothing but deforestation, and overgrazing leads to the soil erosion, and also deforestation. So land degradation. So land degradation, that is any change in the land, so that alter its conditions or reduce its quality. If the quality of the land is decreasing, that is called land degradation. So how to control of this land degradation is, so land degradation occurs due to both natural disasters like volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, heavy rains and fire. So land degradation occurs by volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, heavy rains and fires, and also by human induced activities. So the other causes means we can take wind blow, salinity of water, water logging, soil acidity, loss of flora and fauna. Okay, so here how to control this land degradation is, how this land degradation occurs. So we understood now, because of the natural disasters. Okay, so then we can control how means we should not go for deforestation, we should not go for overgrazing, and industrial development should be there, but we should see that we should not develop the industries where there is more plant growth is there, where more cultivation land is there, where more animals can live. So that area we should not select for industrial development. Industrial development should be there where there is less biodiversity is there. So desertification is land degradation occurs in the like arid, semi-arid regions in the world. Okay. So all this we can see how to control land degradation means, because we have to control deforestation and overgrazing, industrial development. We have to take on the areas where there is a less biodiversity will be there. So reasons for land degradation. So mainly the reasons are population. Okay, when the population is increasing, they need food. They need fuel, they need fiber, wood. So they are more utilizing land resources. Okay, that leads to land degradation. Urbanization means they are cultivating more crops, and urbanization means construction of the buildings, industrial development. So here that is affecting millions of plants, animals, okay, because of the deforestation, where we are going for increasing like urbanization. So fertilizers and pesticides. To improve the agricultural productivity, nowadays we are using fertilizers and pesticides in a large scale. So because of using excess fertilizers and pesticides, so that is leading to the pollution in the land, pollution in the soil. It leads to the soil pollution, and degradation of the land is taking place. And damage of the topsoil is taking place because of the increased food production causing damage to topsoil. Because of there will be nutrient depletion will be taking place. Okay, because we are using pesticides, fertilizers, there won't be soil fertility is more, it is decreasing day by day. So water logging, overutilization of water also, it leads to water logging. So because of that water logging also, it causes that is loss of the fertility in the soil. So salination, nothing but salt water. So we should not use salt water for the agriculture purpose. If we are using that water for agricultural purpose, soil fertility will be decreasing. So the land degradation, it is caused by increasing the salt in the soil, okay, or intrusion of sea water into coastal land. So we should not use the salt water for agricultural purpose, otherwise it leads to the land degradation. So other forms of land degradation, what we discussed is already overgrazing, soil erosion, and throwing industrial waste, okay, on the soil, that leads to the soil or land degradation. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.